I get out of bed the same way. A new day, no thoughts. You know what I meant when I said I missed you. This is our song. Playing in my head like glitter and gold. That's what I'm made of. Used to the cold. Never known real love. I could've sworn no one could see us. And I don't mind because I could be anyone. Find a new city to get lost in. Disappear when I want. Tell 'em all, I'm ghosting. I could be anyone. Find a new city to get lost in. Disappear when I want. Tell 'em all, I'm ghosting. Que si recuerdo todo.
So, you want to tell me about the Joker? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to start off on a joke. Who is the Joker? The first clue of who the Joker is comes at the end of Batman Begins. His calling card is logged into evidence. It's logged into evidence by Officer Joe Kerr. I mean, I really hope that's a joke. I must admit that I don't get much of a copper vibe from him, but then that is a big clue left by Nolan. If we look at his skill set, he seems to have more in common with maybe the Secret Service. Quite how he's able to go unnoticed in plain sight with all that makeup is a mystery. For those unfamiliar with my channel, I make Bond videos. The writer of James Bond said that working for the Secret Service is a dirty trade. And I always took that to mean that sometimes our spies had to kill people, unarmed people, in cold blood. I thought that was the dirty part. Oh, they're dirtier than that. I've come to realise now that what's actually dirty about it is that they will kill people and make it look like suicide. In some of the Joker's crime scenes, he too will create a narrative, and he can even plant DNA evidence. That's a bit advanced for a patrol officer. And of course, we must take into consideration that he does kill a lot of cops. But that doesn't tell you much. There isn't a group of people in this film that he doesn't kill. But he does seem to have a particular disliking for the cops. Why he does, we don't know. But all the best directors have never needed to explain why their characters dislike the police. Take a guess at it, and you're probably right. I want you to imagine for a moment that the Joker's crimes are real, and that they happened in the real world, and how the public would react to those crimes. In the film, I find it unrealistic that the public would want Batman to be given up straight away. Maybe the police do, because the Joker is killing them off. No more dead cops! He should turn himself in! But I believe the public would assume that the Joker was not acting alone, and that he was acting with professionals. And what type of professionals are we looking at? Demolition experts, people that know police patrol routes before they happen, people that can infiltrate a high-profile DA security. The Joker himself is versed in brutalist interrogation techniques.
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy. He can't feel the neck. See?
He speaks of it as if there's a manual on how you should do it properly. I don't think the mob would have guidelines on that stuff, but the military probably do. All of his operations are conducted with precision, and his success rate is far too high to be amateur. The question that remains is how is it that he's not on any of their databases, with both dental and fingerprints not providing any matches, and seemingly no one recognizing him? I have toyed with the idea that he's a foreigner and putting on an American accent. But if he was former military, then he absolutely would be logged. The only thing I can think of is that they don't want him to be discovered, and that he's some sort of psyops operation they're conducting. If you missed the subtle messaging of the film, it's that we need to spy on our own citizens in order to combat terrorism. But was it subtle enough for you? By 2006, Ledger was already growing his hair long, so I'm assuming he had already been given the role by this point. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe Nolan would have asked Ledger to get comfortable holding the weapons that he'll be using. Unlike with Jack Nicholson's Joker, where he's good with one weapon. Just about. Ledger's Joker is good with all of them. Machine gun, machine pistol, a Smith & Wesson submachine gun, Model 76, I just googled that, rifle, bazooka. These are military-style weapons. Now, I don't know if his form is strictly correct.
Yeah.
Because I'm not American. But his accuracy is always spot on, always hitting his mark. One theory that does the rounds is that the Joker is a veteran, that he has come back from a war and is now experiencing PTSD. I'd say he's experiencing nostalgia.
Every day he doesn't, people will die. Starting tonight. I'm a man of my word.
Lieutenant Dan
Lieutenant Dan!
from Forrest Gump is also a war veteran, had his legs blown off in Vietnam, returns to America, and I don't know if he was a model for the Joker character, but I must say I do see similarities in their performances. That's my last bit of evidence that he is likely former military.
Well, here I am. I am a man of my word.
Who works with the Joker? This would be a great opportunity for a Hollywood movie director to make a political statement about the types of people that are attracted to the Joker. Thankfully, Christopher Nolan sidesteps this, thank Christ. A lot of them wear masks. I really dig this because it means they could be anyone. They all seem to have unique faces, and I've always been amazed at how much expression a mask can communicate. I tell a lie. So there is this one moment where the Joker's driver wears a cowboy hat. But this is as political as it gets. I don't know if this is an Easter egg reference to Ledger's previous film, or if Nolan's actually having a pop at the cowboys. But someone better find that out. I'll be waiting. Of the faces we don't get to hear talk. Oh boy. I gotta say, I'm a bit disappointed. I mean, that is going a little too stereotypical for my liking. Steven Seagal dreams about knocking those guys out. And the people who helped Joker kill Gamble. For different reasons. I'm disappointed again. So what are they, in their mid-20s? But what are they wearing? If I was the director, I would have said, get those clothes off. I'm gonna drive over them in a car. To make it look like they've been worn at least once. Absolute mannequins. However, not all of the Joker's followers wear masks. His left-hand man being one of the few that we actually get to see talk. Another great performance. Batman gives us his background.
His name's Schiff, Thomas. He's a paranoid schizophrenic. Former patient at Arkham, the kind of mind the Joker attracts. What do you expect to learn from him?
I find this to be very misleading. I'm not sure if the implication is that his followers are mentally ill, but alright, let's say that they are. And the Joker is making these people turn up on time, perform complicated, professional tasks, and I'll use the gun parade as an example, and these people look like the real deal. Then let me tell you, if he's doing all that, then the Joker should not be in an asylum. He should be running the asylum. What makes the Joker scary? Now, I don't mean what makes him scary to the audience, in which case you may say his scars, which look like they're self-inflicted. Because they look self-inflicted, it just loads the threat that he'll hurt you, because he's hurt himself. Or his makeup, which looks like it's been applied the day before. I think it looks alright, you know. But I actually mean what makes him scary to people like the mob. They are used to people like him, and even worse. So what is it about the Joker that frightens them? The answer to this comes in their first meeting. Gamby is the man in the three-piece. He is the mob boss with the most expensive suit. Until the Joker hits the room. And this doesn't go down too well. That's another thing, by the way. It's the speed of which he kills. No wishy-washy nonsense. And I missed this on first viewing, but he kills 2 people there in one motion. So he's built a reputation as someone that if you ever are up close to him, you're as good as dead. The TV is the mob boss with the most amount of money, and you would think the most amount of power, and yet the Joker treats him with the least amount of respect. He even psychoanalyzes him. That'd be a good job for him, actually. Number 3.
If we don't deal with this now, soon little Gamble here won't be able to get a nickel for his grandma.
So he starts off with a, well, what's your name again? And then he clearly makes a very personal threat, meaning he knows exactly who he is, and he likely knows who all the other mob bosses are as well. Nickel for his grandma, we don't know what that means, but his reaction to it tells its own story.
Enough from the clown!
Let's not blow this out of proportion.
You think you could steal from us and just walk away?
Yeah.
I'm putting the word out. 500 grand for this clown dead. $1 million alive, so I can teach him some manners first.
This is a big mistake. By saying this out loud, this leaves the Joker no other option but to kill him. Which he does. This will send out the message to the rest of them. You don't want to be making any hits on me, son. And notice how he pays attention to the others when the threat is being made. He's keeping an eye on who's in accordance. That's 4. My main reason for believing that the Joker is not on any drugs, I'll get into at the end of the video. But if someone was to put a gun to my head and said, what is the Joker on? Maybe cocaine for that short outburst of energy? But actually, that's the reason I don't quite believe it. I don't associate coke users with consistent amount of energy, which is what the Joker has. He never appears tired, and he comes across as someone that doesn't sleep a lot, so maybe we're looking at that type of stimulant. He says himself that he has a preference for gasoline. We don't know if this means he likes huffing the stuff, or if he just likes blowing shit up. He also says his reason for liking it is that it's cheap. Not anymore, Joker. But one thing is for sure, he is addicted to chaos and carnage. Either way, no drug would explain his behaviour or thought process. Does the Joker know who Batman really is? I am pretty certain that he does. While this film sort of indicates that the Joker can just sniff these people out and then he just knows, and he can read people just from looking at them. But I do believe that the filmmaker has left the clues to show where the Joker has figured it out for himself. This part, though, really bamboozles him. Who on earth is jumping out of that window to save that woman if it's not Harvey Dent? Batman and Dent are both characters that break character in front of other people. But not just any people. People that work with the Joker. What may have appeared like an insignificant moment may actually be the Joker's first clue. We see that Bruce Wayne is publicly linked to, females. Him and Rachel are best friends. So there's gonna be a trail. Either way, he knows that Rachel is important to both of them. He says that her death was nothing personal. Please. He knew that her death would devastate both of those men. And finally, this is the clincher, Coleman Reese goes live on CNN to say that he will be the one to expose Batman's real identity. If the Joker was in any doubt by this point, which I doubt, all he'd have to do is look up who this man works for. Bruce Wayne Enterprise. He knows. He has to know. I have one criticism of The Dark Knight, and it's that we don't get enough scenes between Heath Ledger and Gary Oldman. The two of them are so similar, and I still don't know who Gary Oldman really is.
You think anyone in Hiroshima or Nagasaki gives a shit who built the bomb?
What's your name, Angel?
They care who dropped it. I did.
You must have thought it was White Boy Day. Huh? It ain't White Boy Day, is it?
Oh,
Nah, man, it ain't white boy day.
I've seen a few Ledger documentaries, and apparently he was saying that he was owning every scene. And he is. But he was always going to. The amount of lines that he gets compared to the others, he's getting paragraphs. The others are lucky to get a word. I'm not knocking actors that are just reacting. It's probably harder to do that. But when I watch the scene between the Joker and the Gordon, I start to wonder if the Joker has been deliberately written to embody the dark thoughts of these characters. Because in reality, how often do you talk back to the Black Dog? They say his licking gimmick was to keep the prosthetics in place, but I believe it's a reference to the serpent. The serpent? Who the devil is that? A while ago I picked up on a detail, but I was unable to decipher its significance, and it's where the Joker sits in the world. More specifically, where he sits in a car. He always picks the seat behind the driver. There's an old expression, backseat driver, or dark passenger. I think that's consistent with what we're seeing here. And after the Joker has a word with Dent, guess where he starts sitting?
Your driver.
Christopher Nolan's most recent film, Oppenheimer, has two supporting characters that I think are great. Well, The Dark Knight has more than that. And I'm going to talk about my favourite of these, Salvatore Maroni. The previous film had an English actor play the Italian, and he's terrible. When did the nut take over the nut house? Fucking hell, even I can't do it. I've not calculated this, but I reckon this actor is on screen for 2 minutes. He is not on screen for 10 seconds, and he is already communicating character points. What is the Italian mafia's attitude to the criminal justice system? And when Harvey makes a dent in the story, he's back in court again, this time dishevelled. I've studied this scene quite a bit, and I've already talked about the Joker's hostility to the richest man in the room. But of the others, the Russian... Is he Russian, by the way? Hungarian? Foreigner. There we go. Gives him the most, but this respect will not be returned to him by the Joker. We'll burn that bridge when we come to it. I believe the man the Joker respects the most in this room is Maroni, or at least he's the person he's most wary of. And believe it or not, he is the only character in the film to outsmart the Joker. When he asks,
Where's the Italian?
where was the Italian? He was doing exactly what the Joker was doing, and selling him out.
You want him? I can tell you where he'll be this afternoon.
If you were to ask the audience, what is the worst thing that the Joker does in this film? I think most of them would say what he does to Rachel. However, he points out that he was indeed locked up while this was taking place. Therefore, I have no doubt, by the way, that he was involved in the planning of that. But someone else had to have been following it through. I really think that certain things happen in this film that we're not seeing. We see the effect he has on the good guys of the film, and it is not good. The question is, what effect does he have on the bad guys?
My turn.
Michael Caine. I love Michael Caine. His character provides the most insulting piece of dialogue in the entire film. Some men just want to watch the world burn, Master Wayne. The idea that this man has no motivations behind him whatsoever. Pure bullshit. I don't believe that for a second. I do believe he wants to draw people into his world. You can tell that from the certain people that he will kill, but also how he will mess around with people's faces. When Batman forgets to turn his indicator on, and the Joker pulls out a knife, I always thought that he was about to slit his throat or something like that. But someone in the comments pointed out that what he was actually about to do was inflict the same scars that he himself has. And then I thought, oh, so then people would think that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But that isn't actually what would happen. What would happen is, providing the Joker didn't get caught here, is that people would think that Bruce Wayne is the Joker. I would imagine the Joker would quite enjoy making the public think that, anyway. And we must keep in mind that it is the Joker's intention to break Batman's #1 rule, which is that he does not kill. I don't know if I've mentioned it so far, but the Joker is absolutely someone who would think of the big picture, which is, if Batman was to kill the Joker, it would not make sense for him to stop there. There are a lot worse people out there than him, and he would likely turn into a Dexter-type character. But then the question would be, why would the Joker want that? We'll find out in part 2. If we are to be literal when analysing the Joker persona, then he is quite literally a Joker card. But what is the function of that particular card? It does serve a role, it does have a purpose. The purpose appears to be unintended consequences. The mob in this film get desperate. They play their Joker card. They ask him to get their money back by any means necessary. He gets it back with a twist. He burns it all to the ground. Unintended consequences.
Please tap or insert your payment card.
Unexpected item in bagging area.